If you make hip hop or pop music, chances are that you use 808s, and today I want to show you how to easily tune them in Studio One so that your productions always sound their best. Before we start, if you're a Studio One user, don't forget to download my free productivity toolbar. This is a macro toolbar that is placed at the top of your timeline for easy access and combines a bunch of Studio One's production functions into time-saving one-click buttons. The productivity toolbar is completely free, so if you want to start speeding up your Studio One workflow today, then click the first link down below to get access. Okay, so I think many of us complicate 808 tuning more than it should be, and honestly, it's probably because the name itself sounds a bit difficult. When I first heard of 808 tuning, I thought I basically had to have a degree in jazz composition and sound design, but that couldn't be further from the truth. So the concept in a nutshell is that an 808 is a single audio file that will come pre-tuned to a specific note. It could be C, it could be F, whatever. Our only job then, when it comes to 808 tuning, is simply making sure that when we program a note in our DAW, or that when we play a note on our MIDI keyboard, that we get the same note from our 808. That's it. The reason this is important is because if the notes that we program or play don't match up with what the 808 is producing, then we are technically playing the wrong notes, and the 808 will sound out of tune, out of key with the rest of the song. Luckily for us though, 808 tuning in Studio One is super simple, so let's take a look. Okay, so first and foremost, for 808s, you always want to use sample 1, which is the VST here in front of me, and that is because this VST is built in such a way where it creates multiple notes from one sample, and that is what you will need in order to create your bass lines. So then start off by dragging an 808 sample from either anywhere on your computer or from your browser straight into sample 1. From there, open up the inspector window by pressing this I button on the top left here, or by opening up the mixing console and finding the channel for sample 1, mine is right here, because we will need to add a tuner as an insert. You can use any tuner that you'd like, but the stock Studio One tuner will work just fine. Just make sure that you press this little pin icon here so the window doesn't disappear. Once you have the tuner up, bring up sample 1 again if you didn't already have it up, and then play the C3 note on the keyboard that is built into the VST and look at your tuner. If the tuner is reading a C note, then your 808 is producing the exact note that you played and you are good. However, if you play a C note on sample 1 and you get a different note on the tuner, much like what just happened with me, then that means that your 808 is tuned to a note that is something else other than C, and all we have to do at this point is simply let sample 1 know. To do this, once again, look at the note that your 808 is producing. So for me, that was a D1, and then all you have to do is go back to sample 1, go to the top to where it says root, and then change this value to whatever you saw on the tuner. Again, for me, that was a D1, so I'm going to change this to that. And now, whenever I play this C3 note on sample 1, I should also get a C3 note from our 808, and of course, on the tuner. Do notice that the C that is playing now is in a much higher octave because now everything is in sync, and C3 is pretty high for an 808, so you would just have to play on the lower octaves to get the 808 sound that you want. Alternatively, if you wanted to program or play your notes around the C3 area, then all you would have to basically do is take the note that we saw on the tuner, put it up here, but this time change that last number to 3, and you should be good to go. Now, just to show you that this method works, I'm going to do this with another 808. I'm going to bring in, first of all, I'm going to change this to C3, which is the default. I'm going to bring in another 808, and let's play a C3 to see what we get. F sharp 1. So, F sharp 1. There we go, C3. And if I wanted to bring this up and play around this area, again, all you would have to do is change that last number to 3, and you are good to go. The last thing that I will leave you here with is don't get too caught up on the details. An 808 by default will shift between a few notes because it will usually have an attack, a decay, a sustain, and a release. My advice, and the way that I've always done it, is if the 808 slides too much, then maybe consider picking another one because it's just a headache. But if it's pretty much steady, then just look at the note that brings out the most, and usually that will be the sustained note. So let me show you that with that second 808 that I just brought in. I'm going to bring this back to C3 default. Check this out. So the sustained note is F sharp 1, but you can see that initially we have like an A and a G. But what I want to pay attention to is that last sustained note. If I were to use the first 808 as an example, let me bring that over again. D1 is our sustained note, but we get, looks like F, D sharp, and then finally D. D is what I would want to pay attention to. Similarly, you might see that your 808 is a few cents off from being perfectly in tune with its root note. In that case, you can come over to sample 1 and then mess with the tuning knob here to get it just right. Now you can tell how far off that 808 is from its root note by looking at the difference number here. It'll usually be positive or negative. If it's positive, then you want to go negative on this tune knob. And if it's negative, then you want to go positive on the tune knob, usually by the same number. But again, don't spend an eternity trying to get this perfect. Do your best and move on. Now that you know how to tune 808s though, you should be well on your way to making some awesome songs. And if you ever want to release them, then do consider doing so with today's video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is a digital music distributor for releasing your music to all streaming platforms such as Apple Music, Spotify, TikTok, and many more. Starting at $20 a year for unlimited uploads, it is by far one of the most affordable options on the market and one that I've been using for a while now to release my own beat tapes. Aside from distribution, you also get access to a ton of extra features that help you promote your music, like their wheel of playlists. This fun little feature allows you to spin the wheel for a chance to land your songs on one of DistroKid's Spotify playlists. They also have another playlist feature here called Playlist Spotlight, where you can submit your tracks to get voted onto the same playlist to increase your chances. So then if you're ready to start reaching a broader audience with your music, then go ahead and sign up to DistroKid by visiting ivancalderon.com/DistroKid or clicking the link down below for 7% off your first year. But that's it for me, friends. That is how you tune 808s in Studio One. If you want to learn more about Sample One and Impact for drum programming, then make sure to click this video right here. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next video.